G'day and welcome to Ranko Plays Völgarr the Viking, a game by Crazy Viking Studios. So this is a very hard, linear platformer that was part of the Adult Swim bundle. And I saw a friend playing it and had an idea for how to approach a Let's Play, and thought we'd give it a go. So this is me recording after the narrating after the fact, I guess. This is not my first playthrough of this section of the game, because there was, trying to work out how everything worked and experimenting with a few different approaches. But yeah, so this is the first world of the game. In it, you're dealing with these lizardman enemies, which all have slightly less range than you, but it's very much intended to introduce you to most of the mechanics that Völgarr will use. So, going through, so see that sword on the ground just there? That's an indication that there is a Mjolnir hidden nearby. They're always hidden within level geometry that you can destroy. And I'll show you what they do a bit later, because they trigger when you are next hit. So I'm going to go back quickly, because you can in fact get up to the left here. One of the things about platforming in this game is that your spears also allow you to basically give yourself a platform to walk on. This game is, because it is entirely linear, there are a lot of points at which, if you work with foreknowledge, you can really, make things a lot easier for yourself. Like where I killed that giant spider. The other thing that's worth noting is when you jump, your course is set, so you can't change direction in midair, and this can lead to problems like this, where I jump over the thing I'm trying to jump onto. And it took me a while to work out a good way to jump in that situation, and you're not going to get to see it, because so one of the things that makes this platformer so punishing is the way it makes you restart from the beginning of the level whenever you die. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to fade in to the next point at which I reached the same stage. So you'll never really see me improve at handling a particular challenge. You'll see the first time I get past a point since I started recording these things. So don't expect me to be particularly graceful in this video. These plants are interesting mostly because the first time they introduce them, you are in an entirely safe position, but you aren't always going to be that way. And so it's that's the first time you encounter one of those plants where you actually have to deal with its attacks. So yeah, that's what happens when you have Mjolnir and are struck. Your glow goes away, but instead of actually taking damage and losing equipment, you just have a blast emanate from you, which eliminates most of the enemies you're fighting. So you'll note when I fade in and out, often I will have a slightly different equipment setup. This game has a slow equipment build, where the first hit will basically remove most of your equipment, the second hit will remove your shield. And that's pretty significant, because the blue shield that you get at the start has unlimited durability. It can tank as many hits as you need, but the wooden shield that you get to replace it if you lose it can only take 3 or 4 hits. Now we have the entirely unnecessary jumping that was only causing me problems in these fights. I don't know why I was jumping so much. Okay, so here we go to level 2. So the game consists of several worlds. Each world has 2 levels. You can't go to world 2 until you've beaten world 1, and when you die you go to the beginning of the level. You go back to the last crystal. However, if you don't manage to beat the boss in level 2 and quit, then you have to start at the beginning again. And in fact, if you don't finish the entire game in one sitting, you are locked out of at least one of the endings. So you're unlikely to see the best ending in this series. This series is basically whenever I actually manage to put together a run that finishes a world, I'll put up the next video. And so here we've got another situation with the plant. Plant's at a slightly different elevation, and can you deal with it? And coming over here, we've got a red lizard man, which, if you know he's coming and you have the blue shield, you can literally never see him. You just need to remember to throw a charged spear. And so there's that sword again, so you can tell that there's a Mjolnir hidden nearby. So there's that Mjolnir. I believe you can in fact have multiple Mjolnirs at the same time, which requires you to actually have the... requires you to not get hit in the first level, because I'm pretty sure there's only one in each level, but I've never done that. I never quite managed to keep it for as long as I'd like, which I guess makes sense because I'd like to keep it forever. That was probably the best single use of Mjolnir that I have had in this game. It eliminates absolutely all of the enemies I'm dealing with. I really like the setup of this kind of combat puzzle. I mean, it's clear that it's driving you towards the left. And then you've got these slots where it's specifically intended for you to throw a spear through. And that spear is perfectly placed to actually allow you to then climb the ladder safely. But if you want to actually take out the plants, you can. You can't throw spears while on the rope. You also automatically grab the rope. There's no key to grab the rope, you just have to jump into it. But as you can see here, you can kill these flowers. And then go up that way, because there is treasure hidden up to the right. And that was very lucky that I was positioned for it to hit the shield, because if it had hit my head, I would have lost the shield. And I then screwed up by not realizing that I would jump into the plant. I'm not entirely sure that it's intentional that you can get a spear running along the floor there, but I mean, it is relatively straightforward to raise yourself up if you really want. You just need to throw a spear into the wall. So I haven't found any walls that are that you're unable to stick a spear into. Its combat roll animation looks a bit goofy, especially just because you always end up facing the opposite way, and you can, in fact, break a chest while looking the other way. This is the most stupid way to get past the puzzle. So I should point out that you aren't seeing all of my deaths, because just because I reached an area in one life doesn't mean that the next time I tried, I managed to make it back. You have to literally jump into the rope. So I might see if I can release a compilation of all of the deaths. But so for this 13-minute video of me finishing the first world, it took about 2 hours of recorded footage, and then that wasn't the very first time I played the game either, so yeah. I'm not great at it. And here, as can be seen by the big ominous door, we come up to the boss of World 1. So the game does apparently have a story. It's just, for some reason, the creators decided that you only really need to see the story when you finish it. It's a pretty straightforward boss fight. It's just actually working out when you need to retreat is surprisingly tricky. You don't really have quite enough time from when he raises his club. As far as I can tell, anyway. Can't say that my approach here was necessarily the best. So this is every attempt I made at the boss. But because of, as I said before, when you quit, if you didn't finish the world, you have to start from the first level. That was one of the key holdups, because when I first did this, it'd take me 4 or 5 attempts to do level 1 of World 1. And so that soaks up a bunch of time. I didn't get to start from square one. Well, I didn't get to start from World 2 each time. But now I've finished World 1, I can actually go and start straight in World 2. That orb with the almost He-Man aura is a access token for the so-called Valkyrie levels, which are basically alternate versions of the later levels, which are even harder than normal, which are needed to get the best ending. This will show me going into one, but I'm not actually going to do a video for that because I only got 2 attempts and I failed. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time when I'll tackle the regular version of World 2 in Raniko Plays Völgarr the Viking. We'll see when that actually will happen, because I need to actually finish World 2 before I can even start putting together that video, so that could be a while, but I hope you've enjoyed this, and see you next time.